why would you graft apple trees? Why would you make your own apple trees when you can go to the nursery, go to a box store, and buy an apple tree? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. This is Sandi at Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona, and I am grafting. I have been grafting. You can see all these ones that are already done. They have the rootstock, they have the different scions on top. In the United States, there's basically about 17, well, I should say, not the United States, North America. There's about 17,000 different types of apples. From crab apples to great big baking, eating, cider apples. There's a lot of apples. And that is my #1 reason for grafting my own apple trees. Because I want apples that I can't buy in the store, that I can't buy in the nursery, for a lot of different reasons. Some are baking, some are drying, some are cider, some are all around apples, some are very old apples. One of them that I've grafted already, they have documentation way back into the 1500s. That's exciting to me. And so I'm going to show you how I graft some apples. And eventually, before I go home to Wyoming, I'm taking all these with me, and I will have about 125 apple trees. Now you might say, Sandi, you already have over 100 apple trees in your yard, on your property. That's true. But I do have a nursery license back in Wyoming, and so I'm going to pot them up. I'm going to grow them all summer. I'm going to sell a few of them this fall, and then next year they'll be even bigger, stronger, branched out more, and I will sell them also. It makes me very happy when I'm grafting apple trees. I find it very satisfying, and I'm just amazed that every year I find some new apples that I haven't ever heard of. Let's go graft some apples. Here's a couple of boxes that I did the other night, and these are scions that I haven't done yet. A few of these will actually not get done, and I will plant them in pots or in the ground and graft them later on next season, or I'll use them for rootstock another time. So here's what I have outside right now. 2 full buckets, part of another bucket, and it makes me extremely happy to be grafting. Now you can see there's still some rootstock. I actually have another box from Cummings that just came today, and I haven't even opened that box up. These ones are M111. It's not a full standard tree. In Wyoming, they get to be about 15 to 18 feet high, and that's perfect because I'm going to never let them get that high. I'm always checking to make sure the mixture of sawdust and garden soil is not getting too wet or too dry. But it seems to be okay. It is about 80 degrees each day, and so I have to just check them. And I'm going to watch for any buds that are swelling, anything that I should worry about. Now this is the wax that comes when I buy them. This is the wax that I put on. Now they use some kind of, I don't know, paraffin or something kind of wax. I use a mixture of 1 part beeswax, 2 parts vegetable oil, sometimes avocado oil. And it's very soft, it's easy for buds to go through, and it just works perfect. Now there's right where that graft is, and I have those rubber strips wrapped around there, and I have a blue tape that says what type of apple it is, because I don't want to mix those up at all, and I want to make sure that I have what is correct. I've even used beeswax over top of the clear grafting tape. Both of them work perfectly fine. I just want them to be very stable so that if a bird landed on them, they got bumped, they got tipped over, they are going to stay. But look at all these fabulous types of apples that you are never going to find in the nursery, and you're never going to find for sure in a box store. Why not grow some unusual, great tasting apples that you can do just so many things with? That is another great reason to graft your own apple trees. This yellow transparent, I have several of these because I got them from Greg Jordan, and they are a great apple that you can grow in the north, you can grow in the south. Now this is the wax that I made, and it's almost melted. Now it's a little too hot for me to put on the scion. So I just let it cool for just a little bit, and it's just this game of not too hot, too cold. But it's just about right. I can just dip that in there, and I don't have to worry about damaging the scion at all. Is it as smooth when it's like that? No, but that's okay. Just as long as it's going to hold the moisture in, so I don't have to worry about that scion drying out. And when I cut my own scions, I'm going to do it on both ends. So there they are, just drying a little bit, so I can put them back into some bags, or I can graft right away. But it kind of looks kind of fun and funky, don't you think? These are some ones I just got, so I cut these ones actually in half because they were so long. So here we are, we're going to do it. This is called a black Amish apple. It is a fabulous, fabulous apple. And you always look to make sure the buds look like an arrow, and you want that arrow going up. If you grafted and that bud was upside down, the graft wouldn't take. You wouldn't have made your own apple tree. And it's really easy to tell, so I'm going to cut that little part off. Now, this wax is pretty soft because it is warm out here. And so I'm just going to clip it real fast, and I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to actually rub all that wax off of there. I just wanted it to hold the moisture. It was in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator, and it didn't make a very good cut because of that wax, but I'll just trim that off right there. Now, I have a really nice pruning knife back in Wyoming, but I'm going to show you how to do it with just like a razor cutter. It'll work just fine. You can use a good knife, you can use a razor cutter, and I'm just pulling it away. Now, I know a lot of people put it against their chest and they pull it across. That's a little difficult for me when I'm doing a lot of them, but I can easily do it this way. A lot of times I'll put either plastic down or newspaper down, and see, it's starting to get thinner, but that very edge, I want it to be pretty thin. Now, Black Amish has a lot of red in the apple, and you can always see that when you start slicing into the scions. And so that needs to be a little bit thinner right there. So I'm going to just work that a little bit. Just take your time. You don't want to cut yourself. Dirt. Ugh. So I'm just going to make a little wedge, and then I'm going to come backwards. And I'm just going to work that razor blade down slowly. I don't want to cut myself. And it just makes a great little cut. So when I put the rootstock with the scion, we're going to slip them in between each other because I'm going to do the same cut on the rootstock. And this is a great rootstock. It's got plenty of roots, healthy. It used to be that we would graft and cut way down there and you would just throw the rest of it away or try to reroot it. But anymore, I don't do that. I go way up farther and then I add the graft. One, if the scion fails, I still have plenty of trunk that I can put a different scion on. But that's some beautiful green color. And that's what we're matching, the cambion with the cambion. And so I'm going to make that exact same cut that I did on the scion. So there they are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide them. Just a second, I'm out of the picture. See how that makes that cut right there? I'm going to slide those two together, and it'll be just so snug when I do that. Now, see how I can just slide that in there? And I'm going to match cambion with cambion. See, it's hard to do when you're trying to film and you're trying to do it at one time. The other side, it's not matching up. I just have to make sure it's matching on one side. Now, it's better if I can match both. Now, this is my grafting tape, and it's very stretchy. So as you go around, you just stretch it as tight as you can. I probably should have had my blue tape up just a little bit farther. That names my apple. But I try to go up, down, up again. And a lot of times you still have some extra, so you just go up one more time. And, sorry, I'm kind of going out of the picture frame. And I just try to press that around, holding it as tight as possible, and it works perfect. Then I'm taking this blue stretchy, and this is actually one of those things that when you're taking your blood, and they wrap it around your arm, and I just slice them down long ways. So back home, a gal that does that all day long, she saved a bunch of them for me. And they have just worked perfect with my apple trees. And so I'm just wrapping it around, making it so that it's tight as possible. And then I'll start to go back down on it. And when I get about halfway down there, I'm going to put my finger, I'm going to wrap it around, tuck it under, and it will hold for me. And it doesn't matter if a bird lands on it, it gets bumped, that scion is staying in place. And that's what you need to get a good connection between the rootstock and the scion to make your own apple. And I have used beeswax sometimes when I haven't had that. You can buy compounds. This is one, it's tree wounds or grafting compound. I don't usually use that. I have used the beeswax when I haven't had those blue rubber strings. And you can buy the rubber also. Now, it's just not apples that you can make your own trees with. You can make your own pear trees, peach trees, apricots, nectarines, citrus. You can graft all kinds of trees. You have your rootstock and you have your scion. If those will match together, you can make your own trees. This is Sandy at Suburban Homesteader WY in Arizona. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it inspires you to make your own apple trees. I'll see you next time.